Hi, I'm Chris.
Ah!
He's Spencer.
Ah!
And we saw Capone.
Ah!
No cigars. We give him one of these.
So Capone, I think, is a fascinating fever dream of a film. If you enjoy bizarre experiences without any clear narrative or character development, you will really enjoy this.
You know, maybe the red box logo should have been a warning.
Yeah, that's like the first thing you see. Like, wait, so Tom Hardy's in this. The director has done big budget things before. Why is this on Redbox?
Yeah. Well, and also you brought it up that this is actually written, directed, and edited by him, so it's a passion project.
Yeah, this is his vision, which I think is very informative. Because at the beginning of the movie, my sensation was, oh no, because it seems like it's trying to be serious in terms of presenting Capone in his last year of life. And at the very beginning, my immediate thought is, this is not the portion of his life you tell a story about.
No, because the title card comes up and then Al Capone, the most notorious gangster of all time, has syphilis and tax evasion. And you're like, so that's what I get to know about this remarkable historical character is syphilis and tax evasion? Like,
right.
that's the story you focus on?
Yeah, instead of showing him like, running booze and like with his buddies back in the day, we get to see him pooping himself.
Oh, Jesus!
Like a storytelling perspective, there's no reason to really tell this story. Like, what do we learn as an audience from this story?
The only thing that you could have told us is like, oh, syphilis is bad. Like, okay, why is it bad?
Syphilis.
Yeah, don't get syphilis. Yeah, Capone 2020, Tom Hardy, don't get syphilis. It looks like a horror film in the beginning, and he's walking through the house, and he's like, and it's all dimly lit, and you're like, oh God, what's going on? It's building tension, and it's almost like a horror film. It's shot like a horror film. Why? And then he goes and he finds the little girl, and he's like, rah! And then he starts chasing the little girl around, and then all of a sudden there's all these little kids, and
then they like tackle him in the yard outside.
Yes, it's like, that doesn't look fun. Like, they're trying to make it look like a grandpa playing with little kids, and it's like, it's not. And then all the little kids leave, and then he sees the little boy, and it's like a hallucination. You're like, what? What's going on?
Yeah, but in retrospect, I thought it kind of worked because it felt very artificial. But if that was intentional, it was trying to tell us this is phony, this isn't real.
I don't know, because at the beginning, it made me feel like, okay, this is a gangster movie. I've seen gangster movies before. They're gonna show like, oh, look, isn't he lighthearted and fun? He's a caring grandpa and all that. And then you get to see his dark underside. Which actually brings up a good point, because you don't really see a whole lot of dark underside to the Al Capone. You just see an old guy going senile. You don't really see like, why should we ever be scared of this guy?
Yes, definitely got some Lord Dogda vibes here.
Yeah, I kept on linking it too.
Yeah, when Hardy's performance is so like, nah, 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 I'm like, you can do better. We've seen someone do better. But it was that over-the-top performance by Hardy that started to get me to immerse myself in this bizarre engagement of a film.
You keep on watching it, and you're like, okay, this is pretty hilarious and funny in a bad way. I'm not laughing with the movie, I'm laughing at it.
Just being devil's advocate here, I think the movie intended at least a good bit of it. An early scene, he starts talking to his buddy. What can we do to help you? And he's like, these FBI guys, man, they're spying on me.
And then you can't even hear and understand what he's saying most of the time. So you're like, wait, what's going on? And mostly he either has a cigar or
like, this is actually the line delivery. Like, we're not exaggerating.
I hid 10 million bucks.
You did what?
I hid 10 million bucks.
Oh, yeah.
So the very next scene, they're in the car driving to go fishing, and he's dressed up in drag.
Yeah.
Like cartoonish drag.
But
like,
the funny part is that makes it so that you're questioning it is that they never address it and they
Right.
never bring it up.
Right, they don't mention it before or after the scene. It had no impact on the events because they're being followed by the cops anyway, because they see the cops and the FBI following them. So just that kind of detail is like, what is going on?
But and you see, I think that the foundation of the film that makes it fall apart is the screenplay, because I can understand a little bit of that to maybe, okay, he's dressing up as it, so maybe he doesn't get found by the supposed FBI, but it's never addressed, so then that makes me go, why? Why is this here? And then it's funny because at that moment, it's about 30 minutes into the film, and I am waiting for the film to tell me what I need to care about, because I don't care about Al Capone at all, because he never has any action within the film. He never has any control over anything. So if he has no influence, then why do I care about his character? Why do I care about his journey? Because it's mostly people just taking care of him, so I don't care about it.
Right, and a lot of the things we see him do are hallucinations or didn't really happen.
Right, so I don't know what the common thread is. I don't understand. Like, you need to give me some basis of understanding of, okay, so I understand this part. Like, you even though he's going insane and nuts, I need to understand at least some understanding of where he is so that I can follow him along. Like, oh no, this is gonna happen, so he's gonna hallucinate about this. At first, it's presented in a way where I'm like, okay, maybe does he have dementia? Even for someone like me who doesn't know anything about Al Capone, you need to explain what this disease is, what's going on, what's happening, so that I can understand. Like, okay, he's hallucinating about this kid who might be him or his son or something like that. And now I'm with the film, but it never has the thread that connects anything. It's so random. So after he's on the boat and he shoots the gator, he starts crying. Why? Is he sad that he shot the gator?
I don't think there's a clear reason, because with dementia, people's brains do weird things.
But that's the weird thing, is that he's like 48 years old.
He might have been hallucinating the whole thing on the boat. Because that guy who was his friend...
Oh yeah, the guy doesn't exist!
Right, so he didn't actually go there, apparently. He didn't go on a boat, he didn't shoot a gator,
Which
he didn't
also
go fishing.
doesn't make sense, because when he calls the guy on the phone, the camera goes to that guy's apartment, wherever he is, and he's having sex with someone.
Yeah.
So you're telling us that this guy didn't exist, but then why did you show what is going on in a completely different town if it doesn't exist?
I don't know.
And is the big reveal supposed to be that he's crazy? Because we know he's crazy.
From the very beginning.
Yeah, we know he's crazy, so what's the big reveal? Like, oh, like the wife is talking to him about the kids, and it's like, oh, there were never any kids. Oh my, wow. So deep.
The movie tries to be very metaphorical, but it's like it's confused
bad.
about its metaphors. It doesn't know what it's trying to make its metaphors to be. Like,
No.
It periodically gets these crocodiles involved in the scenes, like in a hallucinatory state. He's shooting a bunch of people. They don't really get shot.
Oh yeah, with the golden Tommy gun.
Right. And then
Spoilers for if anyone cares.
And then he falls into the lake, and a crocodile's there. Like, so there's a few like crocodile things, but
It's never linked to anything
what's
else.
the meaning?
Yeah. It's like they're trying to go deep, but it's like there's nothing deep down here. They kept on digging, and they're like, "Oh, this is so metaphorical." It's like, what do you mean? We're 50 feet below ground. There's nothing down here. Why did you bring me here?
Yeah. Well, I found it engaging because it's weird in that way.Maybe like halfway through the film, there were some moments I started to kind of lose an interest a little bit.
I don't know. For me, I was losing interest in like the entire part, but there were parts in it that kept on making me engage whenever it was just Tom Hardy being weird, because I couldn't tell if he was just overshooting the performance because he knew the script was bad.
You bum!
Fuck, jump right up in the
That was
fucking
mine!
boat.
That was mine!
But if you're shooting this movie, you're shooting Tom Hardy's performance, and you're not on board with it, you would tell him to change it. Like that.
Yeah, because it is Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy can save almost anything.
Right. And like if that's not what the director wanted, I think they would have done something to change it. Like, okay, no, Tom, this isn't what it's not really what I'm going for, Tom. Like, we wanted like a serious character. We want something that's gonna, be grounded in reality. But that's not what happened. So they had to have been on the same page, I think. Like, unless the director was so out of touch in some way, but I don't.
But I don't know, because at the same time, this is a director that you don't really hear that much from. So you would think that he would really try to make this big. I mean, you have Tom Hardy. You have someone that can like almost save your film.
Well, from what I hear, he was kind of traumatized by the Fan Stick experience. He felt that the studio interference and the way that the production went was really bad. And that really disheartened him and disillusioned him from filmmaking. So I didn't even know if he was going to make another movie after that. So yeah, there's
So maybe it's a result of just him being like, "Screw you, Hollywood."
Kind of, but
maybe it's his love letter.
But you get Tom Hardy,
I mean, yeah, you get Tom Hardy, and if you get Tom Hardy to put in like a messy performance, then it's like, ugh. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever really seen Tom Hardy do anything bad.
Star Trek Insurrection.
I haven't seen that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That wasn't his fault.
Okay. No, but that's a good representation of how few bad ones he's done.
Yeah.
He has so many better representation on his
He's
resume.
always a standout. He's always a stand-up performer.
Right. So it's very confusing in this.
Every single day until the day they die, just like you.
So 30 minutes into the film, we finally get like, I got $10 million. Like, oh, that's where we're gonna go. That's what the film is gonna aim towards the end. And it never brings it up that much ever again.
They bring it up a few times because the doctor tries to get it out of him. A couple other guys are like, hey, Fonzo, you gotta tell us where the money is.
I mean, that's true. But at the same time, they should have just concentrated on the family members then, because Al Capone doesn't have any influence on the overall structure of the stories, and his family seems to be the most of them. So you have this sack of potatoes that has no influence on the story whatsoever, but these other characters have influence on it, so why don't you just make the story about them? Like, that would have been so much more interesting. Like, oh, this giant crime boss that used to be like the head of everything, and now his manipulative family is trying to get all the money from him. Like, from their perspective. That would have been more interesting. Instead, you get all these disconnected dots where I'm not sure. I don't think this is how syphilis works. He walks into some room, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different location, and then he goes into another place, and then he witnesses like a murder that happened like many years ago or something like that. So usually with bad films, I don't think that they even have strong endings because it's just kind of like it's mundane, it's whatever. This one had a very strong ending and making me go, what? Which is the final title card when you're expecting something different to happen, the money was never recovered. That's the last thing that it says. And it's hilarious because you are telling us this story about Al Capone and you're putting in this little vague statement about the movie's gonna be about his family finding the money. Like, okay, I'll try to latch onto this movie. I'll try. Like, this is the last little sliver that you're giving me, for me to like latch onto the film. And then at the very end, like the last hour and a half of your life is wasted because the film says the money was never recovered. Goodbye. Thanks for giving us money. See you later. Whoa! Why did you wasted our time by just putting that up there? They're saying like you just spent all this time. You spent all this time watching this movie and we have no point of showing it. Bye. That's what they said. That's what they said. Oh my God. I stood up after that point and I said, well, really? Really?
Brought you some carrots.
I found the movie pretty funny.
It is.
And it's pretty bizarre. I was not bored. Like, there might be a few boring bits here and there, but like...
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna say, it's hard to recommend because it's not a good story or a good character or anything.
Well, I mean, you can recommend it for the case of...
If you like weird movies...
Yeah, that. Like, yeah, you can recommend it for what it wasn't trying to achieve. It was trying to achieve, I think, a serious film.
Oh, yeah, if this was trying to be serious, like a serious introspection on like dementia and this like declined old like former, big shot, like no, it missed the mark a lot if that's what it was trying to do. This isn't Cats, unfortunately, but...
Okay, well, so on the bottom of the bar is Sonic. Okay, so we got Sonic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would be at the very top? Like, what would be like...
Quality is irrelevant. To me, it's like... It's level of engagement with the film. How much is my brain working and doing stuff during the film? Sonic, 0. Like, my brain is dead.
Yeah. Sonic is always at the bottom of the bar. Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic.
So like, at 100, I would say there's kind of 2 different categories there that are equal. Like, one, I'd say something like...
Lord of the Rings.
Fine. But I would say something layered and thematic and deep, like Roma. But also I'd say like Samurai Cop or something where it's like so bad and bizarre. Or Cats is like a few rungs down, but it's still up there.
I want to change mine. I want to put Tammy and the T-Rex.
Okay.
Tammy and the T-Rex is like my bar. So yes, okay. So then we got
Sonic to Tammy.
Tammy, like for me, Tammy and the T-Rex, I was never bored during that film. Every single moment I was entertained. This one, Capone, is more just there's so many spaces, which happens in a lot of these films where it's just dead air and there's nothing for me to latch onto really. But with Tammy and the T-Rex, just everything. There's so much entertainment straight throughout. Yeah. Capone, middle, maybe something like that.
So like on a 0 Sonic to 10 Tammy, yeah, I'd say Capone is more like a 5.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So definitely, I found it enjoyable. I don't think I'd watch it again.
I would suggest it for people that want to hang out with their friends and have a bad movie night. I don't think it's that entertaining if you watch it alone. I think if you have a lot of group of friends with you to just rip on it, I think it's so enjoyably bad that you can enjoy it that way.
Yeah, if you like to watch like silly movies with friends and like laugh at them, I'd probably recommend it for that.
Yeah.